Welcome back to wook+live. I am the Great Went, and I am joined by T, and not me. Not me.
Traffic. LA
That,
traffic.
that LA traffic. Were you on the 10?
I avoided the 10. I was on the you don't even want to know because I took a different route, but yes, I was on like the 118 to the 405 to the 90 to my house.
Can I do the face? The Californians? Whatever
That's
they were
right.
called.
All the way back to Marina del Rey.
That's so funny. All
That
right. We
Volkswagen
are
commercial they did is hilarious. That was such a great tie-in that they just did. That was very funny for the new VW bus. If you haven't seen
yeah.
it, Google it. It's
Well,
very
why
funny.
don't we start with Saturday Night Live? I watched a little bit of it, and something that I was thinking watching it was, I felt bad for Paul Simon. I know he's had the ear problem; he hasn't been able to perform, and he just sounded rough. And I was like, "Well, that was cool. They brought him out, got to do the song. 2 days later, he announces a 40 show tour or something, and I'm like, dude, what are we
Yeah,
doing here?"
yeah. Yeah, it's I thought the same thing when he started singing. I was like, "Ooh, geez." But then you were like, I don't know. I kind of felt like, well, he's earned a little bit of like grace period, and like it's okay, like I get it. And interesting pairing was Sabrina Carpenter. I thought that was an interesting duet with
Right?
him
That,
too.
that crack that her parents weren't even alive
Yeah,
when he recorded when he was on
right,
Saturday Night Live.
right.
I
But
guess the thing I read about it that was even weirder is the last album he did where he developed this ear problem and he's never performed those songs live. He's apparently going to do the whole new album and then other hits. And
okay,
if I'm going to see Paul Simon, I want to see. I don't know if I want to see the whole new album.
right, at all.
Maybe a
Like
song or two.
at all. It's like it always makes me think of the Simpsons line with Homer when he goes to see like BTO and he's like, "No new crap, taking care of business all the time. Like I don't want to hear any of the new shit. Just taking care of business.
Exactly.
That's it."
I saw Joe Walsh once on his Confessor tour, and he had the album, and he's like, "This is the new one," and he threw it out in the audience and said, "We aren't playing anything off that." He was hammered drunk, like falling down on stage.
See, I like it when they do release a new album and completely ignore it or only play like one song or two songs off it. Obviously, the songs that they release on the radio, they always play at the shows, but like it's so nice. I mean, like when you go see Tom Petty back when Tom was around, like his shows were fantastic. It was all like greatest hits. It's the same thing like when you go to a Weezer show. It's like no fuss, no muss, like all the hits, rock and roll, like let's do this, solid encores, and you walk out and you're like, fuck yeah, that was so much fun. Everybody was singing, everybody knew all the lyrics, like we had a blast, there was no crap. Done.
Right. That's
Yeah.
why it was always so fun to go see Steve Miller. I mean, he
Yeah.
can fill up a 90-minute set with all songs you know.
Right. Exactly. Well, that was it. That was like Tom Petty. And Tom Petty, like I
Yeah.
saw him at the Hollywood Bowl a couple times, but like he had was it Jeff Lynne? One of the Jeff Lynne come out? Was it Jeff? It was somebody from Wilburys come out. He had Stevie Nicks came out and played with him. Like it was awesome. You're like, oh, this is sweet. Like he's having the people come out and duet that he's saying the duets with. Like awesome. Let's do this. So yeah.
That's cool, Stevie Nicks. I would
Yeah.
have loved to seen that one.
That was cool. Definitely shocking, surprised when she came
It
out. But yeah.
is. It is. We got other. There are a couple other tours that got announced. I mean, there was a Daniel Donato thing with Railroad Earth and Leftover Salmon, like a package tour they're doing this summer. And
I'll tell you what though, that whole SNL, speaking of just like musical acts and things, that whole SNL music show that they did outside of the Sunday night thing, but the one that what was it, Friday night or whatever they did, that was all the acts. That was awesome. Like that was so good. Like fucking do more of that. Like it was like a variety showcase of great bands. Like that was cool. That was a lot of fun. Like David Byrne, like that was some fun shit. Like that was cool. I
it
like that.
was. David Byrne did a mess of tunes.
Yeah. Yeah. It was cool.
Yeah.
I liked it. I don't know. I thought that was fun. And it just shows too, like I love that SNL has a history of like having like the musical performances, like the bands. It's always so cool.
Right. That was the perfect opportunity though to bring the Talking Heads back together for a song. Come on, David. Just do it. Just cash the check, man. I don't care. Just cash the check so I can go and see the Talking Heads, please.
Kind of like what Dave Grohl did with like the remaining Nirvana shit, and
Uh-huh.
like got those guys together and
I tell you
possibly a
what, I
tour.
like the idea of the Joan Jett or Kim Gordon or his daughter,
Mhm, mhm.
St. Vincent. Those 4, I like the vocal better than the Post Malone thing.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
I don't know. I wouldn't want Post Malone to go on the road with the Nirvana thing. I would rather it be Kim Gordon or something,
totally, for
you know?
sure. Yeah, totally,
And
totally.
she plays bass.
Yes, one of the queens of bass.
We need more of that. Yeah, it's all about the bass. That's
All
what
about the
they say.
bass, as we know.
So let's do the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing. PHiSH have almost doubled Billy Idol in the fan vote. Too bad it only counts as one vote for the actual thing, but they're up to 105,000 and Billy Idol's at around 61.
I
It's crazy.
mean, that is, I can't bring him up anymore because another thing, but Scraggy, the world needs more bass players. I was gonna say the world needs more female bass players, right? That's what we're talking.
Yes,
The world needs more female bass players. Kim Gordon, Karina Reichman, Blue to Tiger. There's a lot of them out there, and they're damn good.
there are. Michelle
Um,
Dinajano.
yeah, yeah.
So it's interesting. I don't know what it says
It says the
about
fan base is crazy, is what it says.
exactly,
Loyal
exactly.
and crazy, which I guess that's the whole term of fanatics. Like that's your fans. They're fanatics, and PHiSH fans, as we know, are fucking fanatics. So it doesn't surprise me. It is kind of fun to see, I think, to see them crushing it like that. It kind of just shows how passionate.
Now, does that affect if you're a voter and you don't really know about PHiSH? Does that affect your vote seeing all these people like that there's that much support? Does that say, "Hey, that checks a column for me?"
I think that can go both ways. I think you could look at it and be like, "Oh shit, they're bigger than I kind of expected, or these fans are more passionate than I expected, and they do deserve to be in there." Or you can be sort of like a baseball Hall of Fame guy who always there's always one, right? That can't be unanimous decision. It can't be like what like you always have to fuck with something and be like, oh, he doesn't deserve it. So like there's always those people, and I could see them being like, oh, those fucking their fans, they don't really count. And like, wow, it'd be so fun to screw them anyway. Blah. So I don't know. I mean, I could see it leaning either way. I would hope it leans more towards the damn. These guys are very passionate. Their fan base is very passionate and into them, which is part of the criteria, I would assume. And I mean, their history of music and their musicianship and who they are speaks for itself. Thanks, Dan. Dan's. We appreciate you, man. That's awesome. Thank you.
So we'll keep our eye. How I don't know. I don't have written down how long the fan voting lasts, but I can't be that much longer. We've been a whole week with this now, at least, right?
Yeah, we have, but how long? I mean, when do they announce when do they announce it, or when do they announce who gets in?
Too bad we don't have a producer.
All right, I know. Everyone's slacking these days. I'm late. No one else shows up. My God, what is going on?
It's 2025.
It's
It's
winter.
the new dark ages we're in.
That's right.
Shift starts at midnight, so we got them PHiSH dates. We talked. We did our microdose yesterday, and when it just ran through real quick about it, I've had some time to think about it. I sent you a map somebody sent me where they did, a map quest thing, and the route was just incredible to look at from New Hampshire to Pittsburgh, and then Pittsburgh all the way to Texas.
You're not driving that. You're not
Nah.
driving. You're not driving that.
If you're going to the Texas shows, you're probably flying into Texas, doing the 2 shows, and then flying out.
Yeah. Yeah. I would think. I
So
mean,
that might make them good. It might make it worth it.
I mean, maybe. Yeah. I feel like these days, especially this tour, I mean, this is a huge example of it. most, I mean, April's totally different. Like you could, although Portland to San Francisco is a trek. That's a long trek down, but you could do that driving wise. But it almost feels like you're getting into like the no more road trips, no more camping fun of going on tour. And now it's like all frequent flyer miles and hotel points. Like that's
Mhm.
that's sort of the new tour, which kind of sucks. But you know, I mean, if you can afford it and you got the points and you got the time and the money, go for it. That's awesome. But it hurts.
Right. Well, I mean, New Hampshire, that's great to start. It's a north, they don't do the Northeast much. I know everyone's like they always play New York, but they don't really do, like New Hampshire. I don't know when the last time they played there, but I'm pretty sure it's been a good 10 years, if not longer.
Yeah.
Oh, since 2010. First one since 2010 is what I had in my notes. So that's 15 years.
That's a
That's good
while.
for them. And then Pittsburgh. I think I'm trying to go to Pittsburgh. I was talking to last night I went out for my birthday with the family and Jesse, Darth Mike's hair, was there having dinner with his family. And I was like, Pittsburgh. He was like, yeah, if I can get a hall pass. So
Tim was talking about maybe Pittsburgh
yeah,
too.
drag Tim
So
along,
yeah,
have the old boys' night out. Did
could
you
be
look at
fun.
the prices?
I have not. No.
$1.20 a piece is what they're asking on for tickets by mail, which means I guess probably it'll be like $110 seats or like cheaper ones. There'll be $90 seats in the 300 section because this
Right.
place is, pretty good size. Same thing with Pittsburgh. The Texas one, 134. Now, I feel like that's a huge increase. Just those two numbers, I'll throw them out. We'll look at some of the others, but I feel like that's a huge increase from even last year.
134 is a lot. Is that just GA best available?
Yep, for one night.
How big is that venue?
I do not know how much. I'm assuming like 18,000 because that's what Schottenheimer Center holds.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
And
know,
that's the one in Austin,
yeah, that's the one in
you said?
Austin.
That's crazy, man. 134. Jeez. Us. I know we bitch about fucking
That's crazy, and that's
tickets and
the Fish
shit, but
price, right? Which I guess Fish does now. They do base price plus they tell you what the fees are. So
right.
it's like $110 ticket with $24 in fees or something like that. But
It's
still,
just that's a lot. I mean,
we paid $450 for Mondegreen, and
right.
we camped there the whole time, and it was 4 days. So that was $112.50 a day. And you got the camp. You didn't have any of those other expenses except getting there, but once
Getting
you were
there and
there,
then eating while you were there and everything. Yeah, true.
well,
But
we ate
yeah,
hot
I mean,
dogs for 4 days.
134, 150, one whatever in for something like that per day for a festival type thing, that's doable, right? Like you can understand that, but 134 just for a night is a lot. That's a
Oh, I'm
lot.
sorry, I was reading. What are we? Anyway, all right. So Folsom, $1.40 a night for first
I
football stadium I think they've ever played.
I don't
Which
understand that one because it's so big and 140. I mean, like you're gonna be getting tickets, I assume, before the show for $50, $40, $20 on the ground, just getting ticket trees. Like I can't. You're crazy to pay 140 right now. Sorry if you have, but that's nuts. Like I don't know. I don't get that at all. And you would think at a venue like that, I guess because it probably everything costs more, concessions and the venue and setting up and all that shit. But you would think with the money that they have and who they are that like
and
$100.
you could sell so many more tickets.
That's what I mean. $100, 118, 120 on the high end, and you could sell a lot more than 140. I mean, dude, $80 and
Mhm.
$100 price points there to get into that those shows. There you go, right?
Right.
Like then you're getting the casual person off the street as well who's in Boulder that's like, oh, let's go see Fish this weekend. I don't know if I'm a casual person in Boulder, like 140 to see Fish at Folsom. I'd be like, fuck that. What?
Right.
That's
Exactly.
crazy. That's
Now, do you
crazy.
think though? I mean, we're sitting here bitching about these prices, and we see the prices of other concerts. Is PHiSH still undervalued?
It depends on what I mean, I don't know. It depends. Like
I think they could probably start at 150 for these 120s, and people would still do it. There'd be grumbling, but
yeah, I mean, to me, I almost feel like at a point where I could see one or two shows, right? Like couch tour most of it, talk about them with you guys, like see a show or two and save my money like we always talk about for other bands and other shows and other things.
how
Cause
much
I
was
feel like
Taper Choice? How much was Taper's Choice? 20 bucks at the door? Something like
I think
that?
all in it was like 26.50. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't have to
I
pay for
go see
tickets
4
anymore, but
shows for the price
right,
of one PHiSH show.
right. You know, and it's a lot. I don't know. I don't want. They're in that zone too, where it's at a bar and it's a lot of fun to go, and like you have that
Right,
bar feeling and that show feeling. So it's a different thing anyway, and it's what you expect for like a $20, $26 show, right? You're like, this feels good. Like, yeah,
right. PHiSH has become a destination thing. Like, I'll go to Pittsburgh because I know Tim will go and I know Jesse will go. So I'll fork over the money to do that. But to say, hey, I'm going to go, to Chicago and spend $2,500 for a weekend with the tickets and the hotel and the getting around. I mean, you
you
seen
know
them both
why
ends.
Savvy? You know why Velvet Elk Lounge is $28? Because it's in fucking Boulder.
Yeah,
See that's like your 140 for Folsom. Fucking Boulder,
right.
man.
The Velvet Elk. Mm.
Those motherfuckers. But I hear that place
All
is
right.
pretty sweet and tiny and small, so it should be fun. And I did want to say that um where is it? Frank tickets said tickets would be less if they set up their own circus tent. Dude, that's such a great idea. Like more bands need to own their venues. Like own two
Mhm.
venues, right? And then rent them out to other bands and like Goose and that kind of shit. But own your own venue, and then you're paying for all your own shit. It's like owning your own merchants. Like own it, and then just have everybody come to you, and then you do your baker's dozen runs there and play for
Right,
like weeks at a time, and just make people come there. And like you always said, Kev, play till the shows don't sell out. So you're like, you know what, we're gonna play a month, maybe, right?
right,
If it only lasts 15 days, cool. If it lasts 30, we're in for all 30, but whatever. But that would be insane. There you go. What do you mean who
right.
can own their own venue? Anyone can own their own venue.
Yeah, there's some bands who like owns clubs.
Yeah.
Like
Dude,
Galactic
look
owns
at Sammy Hagar.
Tipitinas.
Sammy Hagar owns his own bar down in Cabo. Turn that into his own. Like he plays down there. See, you just need to expand out. Like,
Galactic owns Tipitinas.
right? Boom. See, one of the
No,
best
and
ones in the
somebody
world.
from I can't think. I'm losing it. I'll look it up and bring it next time. But somebody in Pittsburgh, like the bass player for some band, owns a venue in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I think a lot of them actually do. I remember reading some things about, and you're like, oh wow, they own that. Oh wow, that's awesome. Like Dan Aykroyd used to own House of Blues. That place was great on the Sunset Strip.
the
There was all
House of
kinds of good
Rules.
shit. House of Rules.
Yeah, the House of Rules. Like in New Orleans, when you go to Jazz Fest for the late night shows, the first thing you're looking at is what's a tips because it's a
Oh,
throwdown.
that's yeah.
Everything goes, and then you're like, oh, the meters are playing the House of Blues. I gotta get the House of Blues, man. Oh
But
no,
then they play like the other room, right? Because I saw
yeah.
George Porter play the House of Blues, but he played the upstairs tiny room and not the
Oh,
downstairs
okay,
main room, and that
right,
was sweet. Like that
right.
was cool.
One year, the same night they had Carl Denson downstairs, Tiny Universe, and upstairs they had Charlie Hunter. So in
Oh,
between
wow.
sets, I went up and caught some of Charlie's Hunter set and came back down. That
Nice.
was
That's
awesome.
awesome when you can do that. Just
Yes.
go up and down. Yeah, and like Phil owned Terrapin. See, so I mean they do own it and like small venues that and like what Phil did, just play, right? Like just have
Yeah.
bands come in, play, rotate in and out guys. I mean, there's definitely ways to do it. And yeah, with PHiSH's money, I'm surprised they don't do something else too, like, like own property, like Amy's Farm again, or something like that, where you could have your own festival and your own ground. Sure, I'm
Why
sure
didn't
it's a
they buy
nightmare.
Limestone? They should have bought Limestone.
Totally. And I'm sure logistics and all that shit is a nightmare. But if you're putting on a festival once a year, once every other year, why not just do it on your own home farm, like your own home area, right? You're saving
Right.
so much. Like the guys that do the one up north that Tapers played last year. What's it called? And then real estate always plays Woodsist. the Woods
Yeah,
Festival. Those people own that little farm that they put it
right.
on at, and it's awesome. That's what always inspires
I
me to
mean,
want to do a Wook Fest. It's so
right,
cool.
if Fish wants to buy some property, I will manage it for him. They can build me a little house. I'll just live on it and watch it when they have the festival.
There you go.
There we go.
There you go.
The one thing that jumped out at me, everything else was a buck 20. Forest Hills, 150.
Yeah.
Now that's I guess that is the true test, but everybody's into Forest Hills because it's so
Yeah.
close to New York and
Right.
Connecticut and
Right. And it's that. I mean, that, and it's, I don't know. You start getting into weird things with the pricing and stuff, but
10 o'clock curfew at Forest Hills. So those shows are going to be over early.
like a 5 o'clock start.
Yeah, 5:30 doors probably, right? They'll come
Yeah.
on at 7. They will hit right at 7 or so. That's crazy. All right, now let's go back and touch on the inside thing. We have the Manchester inside, Pittsburgh inside, is the Moody
Oh
Center. I
yeah.
think Moody Center's inside. Then the one in Columbus is, the one in South Carolina is, and then Chicago. They're all indoor venues, which is great. Somebody mentioned earlier for the lights. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you can see the lights in the fall tour though, man. Like summer tour is summer tour. You want to be outside with the
Right,
stars.
but the weather has been so crazy lately, it becomes a real issue, like in Wilmington a few years back. I mean, there were tornadoes touching down. If you're inside a
Yeah,
building,
but we've always had rain, dude. Look at 93 Red Rocks, my first show. You were like we've always had thunderstorms and rain and shit. And you know what? That's part of playing outside. I don't know.
uh,
I
a
hate
lot more
indoor in the
shows get
summer.
canceled these days, though. Back then, they were like, "Whatever, lightning hit a mile behind the
Well,
venue."
but back
Who
then I
cares?
feel like there was more contingency plans, right? It was like if rain, we go to McNichols. Like let's all just drive down to McNichols. Like these days I feel like there isn't it's like rain or shine or we just cancel it. There's no like supplemental thing to do.
I am. This might not be a popular opinion, and I love Merriweather and seeing Fish on the lawn there, but an indoor show in the summer with the air conditioning and you don't have to worry about the weather and you have a seat, I'm all for it. I can totally get down with that.
Yeah. The air conditioning is nice, but come on, like it's summer. You're out at like once the sun goes down, summer nights under the stars, listen to some of the best music. Like it's so much better and it's so much more freeing and being outdoors, like you're not stuck in. I mean, look at the hell we were in Vegas a couple years ago. You're not stuck in a situation like that where you're like, get me the fuck out of here. Like, I don't want to be in this place anymore.
That's true.
So
You do have to think about the COVID thing still or whatever it is. I don't know if it's just I mean,
influenza, RSV,
yeah,
COVID, all those wonderful bird flu, yeah. I mean, especially in the summer. I don't know. It's a weird thing to me to play one or two, sure. But to have almost most of
three
tour,
quarters, three
yeah,
quarters of it about.
yeah, indoors for summer is, I don't know, kind of odd. And it's kind of an odd
Right.
thing.
The man will be outside. Everybody complains about the man's sight lines,
The
though.
whole tour, I think this whole tour, though, there's so many weird things about this tour. I mean, I know we always say, oh, you guys bitch so much, blah, blah, blah. But if there's one tour to bitch about, this tour has a lot to bitch about, I feel like ticket prices, like the crazy crisscrossing the country, the indoor venues, the
Right.
randomness of just where all they're playing and when they're playing and everything. And even doing the tour end of June through July, which to your point, July hottest, some of the hottest weather of summer in some of those places, like you're not out here. We're just starting to get into summer, end of July, August, but some places it's humidity and you're full blown summer. So,
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not going to
exactly.
complain because we're so lucky to get shows and everything. It's an interesting tour and it's an interesting year for that. So we'll see.
Right. I mean, Chicago, the last time when they played Northerly, what happened? They had to cancel the one show after. I mean, so we'll see what happens.
We'll
But
see what
I
happens.
also think there's a very conscious effort with this to not make it so you can hop down the East Coast and see 8 shows and drive 300 miles.
Seems very deliberate. It seems very bitch worthy, Slappy. Yes. James bitch worthy. I agree. It's totally bitch worthy. But yeah, I agree, Kev. Like it's a tough It's a tough it's almost like when they came out with the fake all like, "We wanna see new faces down front," type thing, you know? It's almost like, "We
Right,
wanna see new people on tour, so we're gonna do this crazy good luck."
right. Good luck. Some one-offs. That's
Uh,
crazy.
you know you know
That place in Ohio seats 20,000 people on a Wednesday night as a one-off. That's a big, Mexico, from what I heard, was undersold. So maybe this is forcing people to just choose a show and go to it, and maybe I don't know, man.
No, VT Abad. James Worthy was awesome. I'm a huge Laker fan. I was just saying he was saying Worthy bitching, and I was saying James bitching Worthy, like it was just saying the name in there. I don't know, Kev. Yeah, I don't know. I don't
What do
know.
you let me the Sphere. I was reading through the GQ article with Trey, and there was something they were talking about the Sphere, and he said people are like, "Why don't you just play there and make all the money?" And the rest of the quote was, "Why would I want to do that? Where's the fun in that?" I don't know if Fish will ever play the Sphere again.
I'm sure they'll play it again. I think in order for them to do it, it has to be better than what they did last time. And to do that, I think there's more to right. Like you got to, they needed the graphics set up, and like I don't know. I think they'll play it again. It's just you have to top what you did last time, or you have to make it.
Do 8 shows.
Yeah, and I think, and well, and that's the other thing. Skipping this year puts the demand back at high, right? Like if you'd done it this year, you still had some of that new, like people being like, "Oh, I went last time. I don't need to go this time." Other people now, skipping a year, people will be like, "I mean, I want to go again." Now you're like, "Oh shit!" Like I'd go next time again because fuck, right? But
Right. Does what he said sound like a little jab at other people?
kinda, kinda,
When does that start? Like next month in the Dead and Company thing? I am
yeah,
so
March.
I'm so uninterested in them playing there again that I haven't even been like marked my calendar, so to
I'm
speak.
excited for shows. To me, I mean, them playing there is just like where they've chosen to play. I'm
No
excited to hear them
streams
play again.
again, though.
I
I
know,
hear no streams again. Come on, kick
which is
down the
bullshit.
stream.
This time there should be streams because the newness is worn off. And like we talk about with the bars when we talk about trying to get into streaming into bars and stuff, why wouldn't you want to promote that more? I know it's the Sphere and I know it's what it is, but it seems to me they're having a little bit of a tough time getting acts in there. I mean,
Right,
Eagles, New Kids on the Block, whatever. I mean, it's kind of an odd Back to Dead and
mhm,
Co.
right.
So to me, I would think that streaming those shows to build hype around it and to show it off a little bit more, and even on the streams, you could probably make them a little bit more extravagant, like be able to incorporate the graphics from the thing into it a little bit more, be able to show the sound a little bit more in this, you know what I
Mhm.
mean, and left, right. So there's ways you could up that to make it cool to then make people want to. The argument's always, well, then no one's going to want to come. They'll just watch the streams. You're like, bullshit, dude. That thing is something we're seeing in person. Like, you have to go see, you have
And
to
you have
be
enough
there.
traffic in Vegas of people who are gonna see, "Oh, the Grateful Dead are playing? I'll go see that. That'll be fun," you know?
And there was a lot of that last time. I mean, even the shows we went to, there was a lot of that were there. Like, yeah, there was a ton of heads, but there was a lot of just Vegas traffic that were like, oh, we were here this week and we saw they were playing. We wanted to see the Sphere. So we're here. You know what I mean? So there is a lot of that as well. So I don't know.
We'll see.
I
We'll see.
think I think definitely they'll be back. I think when they come back, it'll be for obviously more than 4 shows. I think it'll be a huge destination again because I know people that didn't go the first time. I know just friends of mine are dying to go. I know people
Mhm.
that went the first time want to go again and see it.
Oh, I
So
wanna see it, but you
right,
know what? If I just happened to be in Vegas, I'd probably go see whoever was playing just to go see it, even though, I mean, the Backstreet Boys just strikes me as so odd because what are they just gonna put them on the screen? Because it's all about them dancing.
I
Isn't that
know
like their whole shtick is we're
it's
dancing and
dancing. So
singing
you don't
for
know
you?
what are those visuals going to be really, right?
Right,
Like, I mean, yeah, I don't know. And the things that Fish did in there, still no one's even come close to replicating
right,
that in any
right.
sort of way. So, yeah.
I think the Eagles were tasteful because they could set the mood with like tequila sunrise, that kind of thing. But
And that crowd doesn't need a lot of ooh and ah graphics to be blown away. Like you can just show the desert, basically out there, like what the Deadwood with like Cornell and like those kind of graphics you can get away with like that crowd.
how do you party in an Eagles show? I mean, I don't see it as I'm going to drink 10 beers and get rowdy, but I don't really see it as I'm going to smoke a bunch of rope either and be all stoned.
No,
I
I
don't
think
know.
it's a lot of like cocktails, tequila,
Yeah, tequila, right?
a lot of
Pickup
booze,
truck,
and then stumble back out on the strip.
right? Right, and they got the country guy playing. I forget his name. My tractor loves me more than my girlfriend or whatever guy.
Who for the
Just
Eagles? With the Eagles?
no, they have some country
Oh
guy playing the
yeah. The country dude. Yeah. I can't remember which one it is either. They all get confused in my head. Like, yeah. That is true. Him, exactly. Him. Like, is that a huge draw? I don't know. Kenny Chesney, is that who it
oh
is?
boy.
Is it? Yeah, Kenny Chesney. I think
Yes,
Chuck.
Kenny
I think he's
Chesney
the
there.
one. Yeah. So,
My
yeah, I
thing
don't
was
know.
acting
Another
goofy there
interesting
for a
one.
sec. Right. My shit was acting goofy. Am I there?
Yeah, you're here. You're
All
bouncing
right,
around a
cool.
little. You're
I was
back.
bouncing around a little. So, we got I think the festival thing, I'm in doubts that they'd go back and do the festival at that place again. I know they have right of first refusal for a few years. I feel like at this point, if something isn't exactly perfect and works exactly like they want, they aren't going to bother with it again because they got a limited number of shows left in them.
Now you mean with Mondegreen?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny too. You bring up festival, and the first thing that went in my head is the Bourbon Festival thing that they're playing this year, which is an odd festival for them to be playing, which just adds to the odd list of oddities of this year of fish shows, which I think is weird. And that's an interesting thing on its own that they're playing that festival just because of the way that festival is and stuff, and then that they're doing it. And then to your point, doing another Mondegreen or doing another whatever, it is, I don't know, it's three things, Kev: the Sphere, Mondegreen, and Dick's, right?
Mm,
All three of those are off the board this year, which is weird after the last couple of years and getting at least one of those things or two of those things. Dick's forever, but the other
right.
two, Sphere and Mondegreen, both Mondegreen and Dick's last year. So to have all three of those things removed in 1 year is kind of weird, and then have them replaced with what we've talked about with the weird tour, the festival show, and that kind of stuff. It's just weird. So yeah, to your point, I don't know if this is just one of those weird one-off years, and next year they come back with Sphere, Dick's, Mondegreen again, or they come back with at least two of those three things, and we're right back on pat. And we're like, oh, okay, we're back to normalcy. But it's weird to take that year off and then try and bring that back or whatever. And I mean, the festival I can understand because you're not always going to have a festival every year. So that I could see doing, but I don't know. Riding the high of last year, it's kind of surprising that they didn't want to book in it again and do it and try and do it again.
Right. I've heard also that Mexico, they're thinking of looking at other destinations, like in a country besides Mexico.
Ooh, how about an island instead of Mexico, like Hawaii? Let's all go to Maui.
That would be cool. Is there a place big enough on Maui to do it? Do they have? I guess they have to have
Well, you could go to,
resorts
I think,
like that.
where's the University of Hawaii on Honolulu on the Big Island, so you could go there and play the stadium.
Mm,
Or just give Billy a call and let's go crash Billy's where he did his little festival not that long ago and get Benji on it and let's just fucking play Billy's backyard.
I think they like the all inclusive thing though, because
Yeah, of course. Oh yeah, you have to. Yeah,
right.
totally.
The
Totally.
goose thing that's coming up in Cabo isn't like that. There's bunches of different hotels. You can buy an all-inclusive thing, but a lot of it's you're staying at a hotel and transporting into where the music is. If I'm going to spend all that money, I want a cocktail in my hand all the time and have to walk, to the venue from my room and never leave an enclosed space.
Totally. Totally.
Well, the one time I took a cruise when we landed in Belize, we decided to try to go find a little coastal place for a restaurant. and we went like 3 or 4 miles down the coastline, and there had been a hurricane. I think it was not long after Katrina, and like the restaurant had a tarp over it. Best to like cook the whole fish for you though. It was great, but it was so sketch going that 3 miles. You're just like, oh my god, I'm never
That's a
coming
long
back.
way though. 3 miles that's a trek, dude.
Well,
Like
we got one of the people with the bikes,
the rickshaw.
the rickshaw. Yes, there was a rickshaw person there. So yeah, it was creepy, creepy. I don't know.
That's a long way to
Could
go.
fish get away with? Could fish get away with a cruise?
Would you want to go on a cruise?
No, no. I've been on one, and that's
And I don't just mean a cruise. I mean, would you want to go on a fish cruise with all the fish people? Like, I don't know if we can handle that. Like, look at Twitter and like Blue Sky and shit. Like, I don't know if we could all get along on a boat for a week or whatever it would be.
Well, PM Cruise does it. They get away.
Yeah,
with
but that's
it on
different
PM.
because there's different bands, so you're pulling in different
Right.
sides of thing. Like, you're not just like one group. So I don't know. I don't think we could do it. I wouldn't do it, but yeah, I don't know. And yeah, I don't know. That's funny.
Yeah.
No
No.
cruises for me. No.
Yeah, I'm good on cruises. I don't want to fly either though now. I guess
I
it's
know.
cars. Going back to the basic. I'm gonna get myself a stick shift that's from like
Yes.
1978 that has no tracking on it. I
Yep.
feel like I'm living in a Rush song all of a sudden or something.
Love it. Totally. No, totally. That's what you have to do, man. Like go analog with it all.
Analog, exactly.
Including your car.
My power went out for like 8 hours a couple days ago. And I was sitting here like I had like one candle and I was like, God, what if my candle runs out?
It's the weirdest thing. It happened to me the other night, actually. It's like I was just watching TV and all of a sudden everything just shuts off and it's like pitch black, and like my whole neighborhood, I looked outside, everything was dark, and you're like, God, there's this weird eeriness, quietness when nothing is running. And I don't know, you have that moment of reflection, like, wow, what if the grid goes down? What if shit just like ends?
Well, I got to a point where I laid on the couch. It was completely dark. My eyes were open. It was like a sensory deprivation chamber. And that's when the lights came back on. Like right when I found my moment is there. They were like, no.
Like, oh, I could live like this. Oh, never mind.
And then you hear like the radio upstairs comes on and the
right.
TV.
Yeah, all the beeping, like all the other clocks in the house and stuff start beeping. And you're like,
microwave.
Yep.
We're back. It was so weird though that like the street behind me, all the lights were on, and that's where all the businesses are. And I was like, yeah, that grid was up and running, but
that's what's weird because I'm on like the end of one grid and like right across the street is another one, because when mine go out, I'll look over there and I'm like, their lights are all on, but if I look across the other side of and up the other way, it's all dark. So it's really weird. You're like, wow, I'm right on the edge of how do I tap into the other one?
It's a scam though. It's a scam because then I watched so many people hop in their cars and left and like drove 20 minutes away to a restaurant. So they got all these people to spend all this money at restaurants.
Right. You're like, I can't do anything here, but I can go.
That's why you have to have gas. That's why you need a gas stove.
Yeah. True.
Those electric stoves are no help there. All right.
It's true. That's true. Hey, do you think, let me ask you this, since we were talking about the festivals and the runs and things like that, do you think, I mean, obviously they'll play it again, but when do you think PHiSH will play the Gorge again?
Oh, I think next summer they're going to have to.
Because that's been a while too. And I feel like that's one of those places that you get the 3 nights.
4.0. Haven't they played it since COVID?
I think so.
I think, oh yeah, they did the camel walk. There was a really good camel walk.
Yeah.
There. Yeah, they got to the Gorge.
But that's been a while. It's been a couple of years again since they've done that. So
where else do you play in the summer though? Are you going to play like a Bill Graham after that? Because if you're doing the Gorge, you're going to have to do the coast.
Well, again, and that's what's weird about doing the April shows, the spring shows on the West again for this time again, is doing that and then doing the Seattle and Portland in indoor arenas again. talking
What if you
about.
could do what if you did the gorge and they found some place in, like, Montana or Wyoming or something? Have they ever played Wyoming? They ever played
I don't
I know
know.
they played Montana because the Bozeman Tweezer, we know that exists.
Right. But
That might be interesting.
you could do, I mean, you could do, yeah, I mean, look, even like this year,
Never.
you could do never. You could do the gorge. I mean, you could have done like the gorge would have fit in with like, except because spring tour just messes up everything with the summer tour, which is why they had to do it the way they did it. But you do a gorge run, a bowl run, Folsom Field, like that kind of thing, or Dick's even, and then it evens out. Like then it starts to make sense in that timeline and in that way of like touring and that sort of thing. So I don't know. Yes, you could easily do Gorge, Tahoe,
Oh,
LA
Tahoe,
again,
right.
right? Like
Yeah.
you could do State Line again. So you could do Gorge, Tahoe,
Or go to
LA.
Arizona or New Mexico. I mean, these places exist, and obviously, the way this tour is set up, they're counting on people flying into places. So why
Obviously.
not go for broke and try New Mexico or someplace?
Obviously. I would like to see that summer tour again, like that year that they did Screw Dicks with the Tahoe Tweezer that year. But
Mm,
that was a great run leading into Dicks, right? Like you started up, ran through everything there, and then ended up at Dicks. Like that's a fun West Coast sort of run. Like you started the Gorge, do State Line, do LA, do Phoenix, maybe do San Diego,
right.
Dicks. So I don't know.
They're not letting us in Canada anymore. They're gonna
Canada,
be like, "No fish. We
Canada,
only want goose,
Canada,
Canadian
Virginia,
goose." Oh, man. Yeah, I would love to
Virginia. And
see
since then,
I would love to see that. I mean, people are giving me a hard time because I said the Midwest, so I guess they aren't really playing the Midwest. But
well, we always argue about what exactly the
I guess
Midwest
St.
area
Louis is
is.
the Midwest. If you're playing in St. Louis, you're playing in the Midwest.
Yeah. I wonder how many people will make it go from the Folsom show to that Ohio show
God,
after it.
let's drive through Kansas. Well, I guess you drive through Kansas, yeah, not Nebraska to go straight across into Ohio.
Yeah.
You would think. Yeah, I hate that drive. The
That's a
drive
shit
to
drive, though.
Kansas
I know
is
I
so
did that drive from Denver to Chicago for the Dead shows, and was it 96, the last shows? That was a rough
right.
drive.
Right, what
So
is up
flat.
with PHiSH? I always have to boot, and somebody else mentioned Toronto, in Canada. Uh, you always had such high expectations, but I can't think of any show from Canada that you're like, "Yes, that's a must listen." And they played a few, at least
Yeah.
10, maybe 15,
Yeah. That's true. I can't think of anything.
Is it weird to
Let
have to
me
go into
think.
Canada? I mean, it's not like you're driving that much further if you're in Buffalo to go into Canada. It's not like you're going to another country, like you
Not
have
at
to
all.
fly to
Yeah, no,
Spain
not
or
at all. Right. Yeah. Not at all.
and they always rock Mexico. I guess going south is better than going north for them. I don't know.
You'd think they'd throw a little bone up there again sometime, especially when you're already up in upstate New York like that a lot of the time. So, yeah, I don't
Oh
know
no, what is that? Where was this to boot?
what.
God. Oh, in Toronto? Oh, that's horrible. I would have loved an hour and 55-minute first set. That's fun.
Nitrous Mafia can't get across the border. What do you mean? They don't. They have to have Canadian gas. I'm sure it's friendlier, happier.
Did you see that Fish actually put out a post on social media that they weren't doing dicks? Like they had to confirm with everyone that people couldn't believe that they didn't announce dicks.
Well, I do believe that because Dick's is usually sometimes tied into its own, you know what I mean? Like it's that extended on, so it didn't feel like you're like, wait, is there more? Like this kind of just ends in July. What happens August, September? Like they could easily still be announcing a Dick's run. And so I think that's really funny that they're like,
Right.
no,
Frank,
sorry.
I mean, when they played Europe, they played clubs. I don't know if Fish has the name recognition to go into Europe to play anything but maybe 4 or 5,000 seat places. And the profit isn't there maybe for them. I would love it. I would
I would
fork
love
over
it.
money to
Love it.
do something like that just because of the venue sizes you're gonna get.
Totally. Totally. I know. I'm waiting for Tabor's Choice to do a Europe run. That's gonna be fun. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. I was thinking that too. I was like, would they ever play Europe again or Japan again? You know,
Japan.
something like that. That would be
Mm.
fun. That'd be really fun. But again, I don't know if you do those at this stage in your career. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that in like
Oh,
a
you do Japan. I think Japan is something you do because you could sell out big places there because
I think
Japanese
it would be fun as hell
like
too, but
American
it just
rock.
feels like something you do early, you know, like Goose did, like when Goose just went to Europe and like how Goose is kind of in that zone of like, this is where we
Mhm.
can get away with doing that. Like I think for PHiSH, it would be a lot more. I mean, it would be insane. Like people would fucking Japan would be
Goose is gonna
amazing.
play Japan next year.
Be amazing.
You
Be
heard it here
amazing.
first. We're making it up as we go along. Did you listen to any of the Goose at all?
No.
I will say that I enjoyed it more as a four-piece. It seemed more
Yeah.
focused,
Yeah.
but still, I was watching Eggy, man. If you haven't checked Eggy out, that's the real. I love the guitar player's tone, the bass player, Mike, who we've had on before.
Yeah.
Um, he fantastic, and they can all sing. They probably have the strongest vocals out of most jam bands.
I think they're actually in LA Saturday night, which
Whoa.
sucks because I'm in Denver for the Taper's Choice show Saturday night. But
Right.
I think they crossed. The timing was off. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to go see them live. I hear
Right. So
nothing but great
what is
things.
the Taper's Choice? Are we streaming Taper's Choice?
I don't think we're gonna be able to. I haven't quite gotten all the details of it yet, but we will see. They're playing Friday night in Boulder, Saturday night in Denver. So if you're around, come to the shows. I'll be working the merch table. It's gonna be fun. And on
There
that
you go.
note, for the members right now, I finished the Ivy Room cut from a couple weeks ago. So it is up for members. I think we'll probably release it to everybody tonight, maybe tomorrow morning before I fly out, but it'll be up in the next 24 hours for everybody. So members have had it for a couple days now, but it's awesome. A lot of camera angles, which were fun. We used the stream that we actually streamed live on Kev's YouTube channel for the stream. And then some of you know, Sleeping Llama is his name on Instagram and stuff. You'd recognize him. He's always down front with Maggie on the rail for most PHiSH shows. But he was there. He was kind of nice enough to bring two cameras along with his phone and film for me down front. So we got some really good cutaways down front with them mixed in with the stream footage and cleaned up the audio a bit too. So the audio, I know the first set was a little messed up from the soundboard. So we cleaned all that up. So the show
A
is
lot of symbols. First two
a
songs, a
lot of
lot
symbols.
of
Yeah.
symbols.
Yeah, those are cut down, so that's gone. So yeah,
And
look
there's
for
shots
that.
of there are shots of Ghost Llama
There are. Yes, you'll see our very own Ghost Llama down front cheering,
doing set
dancing,
list. He's set listed.
texting the set list. Yes, yes.
Love
And you'll
it.
see Benji. Benji sets two bananas, one banana for the first set and a second banana for the second set on stage as well. He was there. So yeah, it should be up. Maybe I'll put it up right after this show and you guys can check it out. It's cool though. It's a
We
really good show.
I was
Voted
talking
by
to
one of the members in the band said he thought it was the best show they have ever played. So
right. We
there
did
you
get
go.
flagged for wish you were here or have a cigar.
Have a
Have a
cigar.
cigar.
Yeah.
That's what they played. I was talking to this band in Scotland the other day, the Twisted Melons. And I was like, you guys should stream. I was like, it's no problem to stream. Just get a hold of me. I'll walk you through it.
I got that shit dialed in now.
I mean, once we figured it out, it was cool.
Yeah.
It took us a good hour and a half, and I was like, this probably isn't going to happen. But we got it up 10 minutes, 15 minutes before.
Right before my biggest mistake was thinking everything was cool and letting Llama fucking smoke a joint with me and then coming back in and trying and then being like, oh shit, everything's not cool. Like now what the fuck are we doing, Kev? Like, how do we do this? And I'm like, ah.
It's not working. Wait a minute.
I'm like, wait a minute, what do you mean it's not working? Shit. That was
Oh,
stressful.
man. It was great. All right. It's 10. I know we've only been it's a short hour today. We got
It's a short hour
he's
today.
got to pack and get himself to Colorado. There, are you driving or flying?
Oh, I'm flying. It's supposed to be
Oh,
snowing, I think, tomorrow, but I know I hate flying as it is, and now with all of this flying nonsense, I had to get double doses of Xanax for this flight. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
we'll see how it
If you're in the Colorado Boulder area, Denver Boulder area though, in the next Friday, Saturday, come check out the shows. They're gonna be awesome.
where we are.
And
Make
then
sure.
obviously also Night Zero show too that was announced at the Troubadour before the Fish run in LA, which will be awesome. So if you're coming to the Hollywood Bowl shows, plan on coming out a day early so you can go see Tabor's Choice at the Troubadour.
So you can go see their world famous merch guy.
That's me. I mentioned I was talking to CT today real quick too. He was over here picking up the merch and we were chatting and I was like, we were talking about Colorado and Denver and shit. And I was like, so when is the Red Rocks show? And he started laughing. He's like, it's funny you say that. He's like, we've been trying actually to open for like,
For
he's like, that's
somebody.
kind of our joke right now is to like get to open. I was like, dude, that'd be perfect. That's perfect. Then you don't have as much pressure. You just fucking show up. Let's do it. Let's get the first one out of the way. I can't wait.
I mean, Widespread plays there every year.
Perfect opening band right there, right? I was like, dude, let's do this. I was like, you're knocking them off. The Troubadour was like my first step of like, we got to play the Troubadour. Once we do that, all right, check that off. Now it's like, all right, Red Rocks. Let's work up to that Red Rocks date. So
There you go.
there you go.
We got a Discord, and they have a lot of fun over there. It gets goosey sometimes, but you should check that out. There's going to be a link if it isn't already there in the show notes below. If you're watching this later, leave a comment.
Yeah,
Be
let us know
nice.
what you think about tour, about Fish, about all things music. Got a
Um,
Neil Young minute tonight, Kev?
Neil Young has not been doing much of anything. His news page has just been
Nothing.
blank. So I guess he's chilling. Maybe he's writing some. Why don't we go with he's writing a new batch of songs right now? I
He's
think he's
enjoying
always
the
right.
nice cold Canadian winter, writing some new songs.
It's weird. There's an interview. Here we go. Left turn. With Springsteen. And he was on Howard Stern and he was saying he doesn't feel like he needs to write songs anymore, which
Look
I
at
found
two
fascinating.
people are filling you in here, Kev. Bruiser Net and Safe and Sound Vaginal
Okay.
Audio Excursion. Neil Young's announcing a tour next week, so we will have a good Neil Young minute next week. This week's Neil Young minute is promoting next week's Neil Young minute. A lot of
Tune in
tour
next
announcements.
week for a real Neil Young minute. There you go. I did not catch
Amazing.
that. Thank you for catching that. Um, and follow us on social media. We don't really post there much. They exist. And like and subscribe to the channel. Become a member if you want to check out. We do some weird stuff. We cut stuff from old shows. We're going to put some interviews up there. We have a whole interview with O'Teal that I think deserves a larger audience. I
And
probably will
Desron.
cut out the end part when we bring in the other bass player because it got a little chaotic. But he asked O'Teal about tripping on stage and playing with the
And where
Dead versus the Allman Brothers
and going barefoot.
and
Barefoot
Barefoot.
brother. Playing
So
barefoot.
that's something to watch. All right, we're out of here.
All
Take
right,
care,
see
guys.
y'all. Have a good week.
You're 60, know where your kids are? MC Roach. Oh man.